Oh boy, you are in for a treat today. You're gonna have to help me out with your name, but it's Samantha Williams-Chapelsky. Did I get it right?
You sure did, Eric.
Man, I am so difficult. I have such a difficult time with names, so I wouldn't want to have to spell it. But Samantha, welcome to Art School Live. What are you going to do today for us?
So I'm going to be demonstrating some amazing textures in acrylic, how to incorporate them, how to add them, and how to make magic with acrylic paints.
Okay, so I've got a big question for you. Can you, with what you're going to show, could these textures also be potentially incorporated with other types of painting?
Yes, absolutely. So your oil painters, even watercolorists will get a lot of information from what we're going to be chatting about today.
Awesome. So we're going to add texture. And why on earth would we want to ever add texture to our paintings?
Well, sometimes with acrylics, they can end up looking a little plasticky, a little flat. So how do we make them look a little bit different? How do we make them look like oil paints? How do we make them look unique and really bring a lot of attention and interest into a painting?
Well, this is pretty exciting. Let's get this show started.
It's
Wonderful.
Art School Live with Eric Rose.
Well, welcome back. I'm so glad to be back. I'm rested, had a nice vacation. This is day 2 back, and I am having a blast. As if you didn't know this, I went on a cruise, had a really great time. I'll tell you about that sometime. But today we're going to talk about texture in your paintings. Now, here on Art School Live, we're here every weekday at 12 noon, and our sole purpose is to get you motivated to learn how to paint or to help you get to the next level if you're already a painter. Now, I know you're thinking, I don't know how to paint. I can't do this. Well, that's absolutely wrong. You can do this. We are here to show anybody that anybody can learn to paint. There is not some secret sauce. It's learning a process. And if you can learn to follow a recipe, or if you can type on your keyboard, you certainly can learn to paint. Now, you probably don't believe that, but you will get there, and you just follow the process and you just get practice and practice and you get better and better. All right. So you can do this. So you watch any 5 shows, you're going to get the confidence to paint. So today our guest is Samantha, and Samantha is going to give you the idea on how to get texture in your paintings. And I love this idea. As a matter of fact, it's very topical because I last night went to the Michaels store locally, and I went and I bought some products that had texture in them. I'll tell you about that later because of a big project I'm doing. So I'll learn about how to do it properly after I already screwed it up from Samantha. Okay, Samantha, let's take it away.
Absolutely. So I'm going to be starting off with talking about some textured products that are known as gels. So when we add a gel into an acrylic painting, we actually just make more paint. So one of the cost-saving things here is that when we start adding gel into our acrylics, we can end up with just more paint to work with, and we end up saving a lot of money because, of course, anything with color is a little bit more expensive. So what I wanted to showcase today to start off with is something called fine pumice gel. So this is a gel. It is a borderline clear, so it is not super opaque. It's actually quite clear. It's got a little bit of a gray tone to it. And you can see I've scooped out quite a bit. One of the interesting things with acrylics is that we actually have no minimum and no maximum with our gels, which I think is really amazing. And we
I
can
don't
have a
know. I
lot of
don't
fun.
understand what that means.
So we can add tons or we can add very little. So if I wanted to add the entire container of product, I could use that and paint with it. Or if I just wanted to add a little bit, that's okay as well.
So it's not going to crack. It's not something
No,
that, okay.
no, not at all. It's
And
actually because it's a plastic, we have that flexibility with it as well.
and what is the surface that you're painting on? It looks like you've already painted something on that surface.
Yeah, so what I've done here is I've put a red underpainting down. So this is just a canvas panel, and I've done a cadmium red light underpainting. And this will really showcase the transparency that this product has, just so that you can see the colors underneath. And then of course also showed the volume that we're going to be showcasing with some of the scratch through marks as well. And I'm adding in some acrylic to the paste itself. So the gel here, I'm going to add acrylic right into it.
And will that change the value of the color?
It will a little bit, not a lot. So with typical gels, we kind of have a ratio of about 50-50 before we see any color change. Now we're going to see like a little bit of opacity change here, but this will dry pretty much the exact same color as the bottle I started off with. So we have a lot of ability to stretch our paint. And this is what I mean by cost savings. You saw how little paint I actually put down, and we have a lot of paint here. So if we're going to paint texture, we want to make sure that we're using those gels and those paste products. Then I'm going to mix up a lighter value of this. I'm just going to add some white and just take a little bit of my blue. And you can just see that amount of product that we've created from a very inexpensive side of the acrylic paint line. So your gels and your pastes are really inexpensive. So those are going to be able to extend your paints, give you more product to work with, and have a little bit more product to play with as well. I don't know if you've seen Eric, but I've seen a lot of Instagram artists who will take the tube of paint and they'll paint with the whole tube right on the canvas. And I like to be able to mix it and play with the effects of the textures.
Okay.
So I'm going to pop this right on my support. And you can see the volume that I'm putting on here. And this is what I mean by there is no maximum or no minimum. We really can get a crazy volume. So I do have just a reference that I'm using, which is above me here. It's this little painting that I've done, showcasing another one of the gel products. I'm going to use a similar reference here today. And I'm just applying this with a palette knife right now. Now this product actually has fine pumice gel in it. So that fine pumice gel is actually the pumice stone that you would see at spas on your feet. And it's actually got a stone in it. So when we apply this, we're actually going to lose about 50% of the volume to water evaporation. So that's interesting to know with your acrylics. You're always losing a big percentage to evaporation.
So Judy is asking, how does this affect your dry time?
Yes, so it absolutely does. Amazingly, I know acrylics seem like they dry super fast, but they actually can take up to a year to completely dry depending on the thickness of your paint. So because we're using such a waterlogged paint, every acrylic we use is 50% water. It takes a long time for that water to actually evaporate out. So because of that, it can take a long time for that surface texture to actually be dry. So I would say the thicker it goes, the longer it'll take to dry. The best way to tell if an acrylic painting is dry is the touch test, something you don't want to do with your oils, but you basically put your hand on top of it once it's dry. And if it is cold to the touch, that means there's still water inside.
Oh, really? So
Yeah.
𝗵𝗺𝗃𝗃 is asking, how does this compare to using cold wax?
Yeah, absolutely. So cold wax is a really beautiful product that you can obviously add in with your oil paints, and we can mimic it really beautifully with acrylics. The difference would be, of course, still your drying time. So my acrylics are going to dry faster. I'm also going to have the ability to create different sheens, so different shine levels. So some products might be more matte, some products might be more opaque. It'll really depend on the product of choice, but it does have some similar characteristics. A little bit faster drying though.
Okay, Janny Schooley is saying, when using a pastel ground paste, would it be comparable to the pumice gel?
Yes, so pastel grounds are actually made with the exact same product. They're just a finer ground pumice stone. So they're actually using a pumice stone that's just been finer ground than the one that I'm using here, but it's basically the exact same product. So if you are a pastel artist, I could originally have put this product down first and then actually do my pastel work on top of it because it's got a bit of a tooth to it. And it's a really beautiful surface to create a pastel piece on.
Do you know anything about archival life of this?
Yes, absolutely. So all of your acrylics are tested for 100 years plus, no change, no problems. You know, when you're using an artist grade product, you're obviously going to be using something that's been tried and tested. So they are lasting, you know, in the canon of art. Obviously, we don't have the history behind them, but we are testing them for that 100 years plus, no change. So they're really good comparable paint to your oils. So you can
Because
see
we
here.
all want our work to live for 100 years or longer.
Absolutely. And that's the interesting thing with your acrylics. They're plastic. You know, of all things that will last in this universe, it will be plastic. So you can see here that texture, you know, there's so much texture on this. We will lose a percentage of that to that evaporation, but it's got such beautiful, beautiful consistency. Now, this product itself, this is the fine pumice gel. This will dry slightly matte. So when it finishes, instead of it being your traditional shiny acrylic, so this is a traditional shiny finish acrylic, it will actually be quite a bit more matte. So I'm going to show you a dry version of this so you can see the finish of this product is really quite lovely, and it is much more matte, much more flat finished, which again, one of my favorite things that we can do is make people question what type of paint it's made of, because that's the fun part. So I'm going to mix up a little bit of green here and go into the bottom area. Again, using very little paint here to tint a lot of product. You can see how dramatic this product is, of course, as well. I'll add in some of this green texture here. I have to fill in that middle band of space. And I'm not planning on finishing this piece today, but I really want to showcase, you know, the effects of the product itself and how unique they can look. Add in some purple here. Now you can see the transparency is definitely showing through. When I apply the paint thinner, we do have a lot of ability to have some transparency. So, you know, if you are working in glazes or in layers, you know, we really can work with the pastes or the gels the same way, just applying them in thinner consistency. So you don't need to do super crazy thick paint all over. My own personal work, I use a lot of paint myself, so I like that effect, but you can definitely use these in a lighter fashion as well. And of course, you can see that little bit of line happening with the palette knife. And a nice sharpness there. So also something I wanted to mention that is interesting about our acrylic textures is that a lot of people don't realize we can actually use them with a brush just as well. Using a brush with your acrylic textures is a really beautiful way of creating different marks rather than just it being about a palette knife or those straight edge tools. So having a brush to be able to create different effects works really well. And I always like to tell artists, you know, make sure that you're not using your really expensive fancy brushes. I would say make sure you're using your mid-range, because the acrylic does tend to wear out brushes a little faster.
Wonder why that is. Well, I would think the pumice definitely would.
Yeah, absolutely. And your acrylic is that little acrylic sphere that floats around in the water. It ends up in the ferrule of your brush. So as much as you can clean it out, as well as you can clean it out, you're still going to end up with some of those plastic residues in there.
Let me ask a different question.
Sure.
What if I decided to take my canvas and textured the whole canvas without putting any paint in it, just to kind of create some textured marks, and then I let it dry and then paint it over that?
Absolutely. So this is a great time to show you an example of that.
Wow.
I must have read your mind there, Eric.
Wow,
you can see
you're
here,
good.
this is molding paste actually that I put on first and allowed this to dry. So basically what I've created here is a low relief texture. So a textured base, no color, no pigment added in here, but I can literally go in here with my acrylics and brush and get that super vibrant color right on top. Now, this is also an amazing surface for oil painters. So having this as a base not only gives you that historical sort of brush mark look, it also gives you that underlying texture. So if you didn't want to do really thick applications of texture, you would have it underneath already. And you can see the paint goes on top of this beautifully, really easy to do washes on top and layers as well.
Oh yeah, well then you can get those effects where you could do some glazing on top of that and then pull some of it out and get some of that dark to stay in that yellow.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's, you know, for a lot of beginner artists who are not sure on the texture side of the acrylic line, I mean, there's so many options out there, unfortunately. It's a good thing and a bad thing, but this gives you a way to start off with of having that texture underneath, and then it's just really affecting that, you know, under layer. It's not affecting your color base at all.
Okay, so I just want you to, before you do anything more, I want you to just do a little wipe off over some of that texture, just so we can see
Yeah.
before that dries out, see what would happen.
Yeah, so we can literally take that right off, or we can go lighter and we can pull just a little bit of it off. Again, great for watercolor artists as well. If you're looking for a different surface, watercolor artists are fantastic. This is a great base for watercolors as well. And one of the really neat things that we like to talk about for modernizing watercolors is that if I do this with my watercolors on top of a panel of some sort and I varnish it, the piece no longer needs glass, which is such a prohibitive factor in the gallery world dealing with watercolorists.
Say that again. I missed. You're saying we could.
So
You're
if I
saying you
took,
can watercolor over this paste?
yeah, absolutely. So I can do my watercolors on top of this. We can already see how well it's holding the water level in my paint. So I can do my watercolors on top, let that all dry. And then if I varnish it, so if I varnish it with just a spray varnish, typically it's a mineral spirit-based varnish, then my varnish will seal in the watercolor, and then the painting itself no longer needs glass.
Oh, so you could actually make, so you could take that gel that you just used, and instead of coloring it with acrylic, you could color it with watercolor.
You could. I would probably use my acrylics because they're a little bit cheaper than my watercolors, really. But if you wanted it just white underneath, use the gel underneath, let it dry, and then paint your watercolors
So
on top.
you could make a watercolor painting look like it has oil brush strokes or something like that.
Absolutely. Well, and you can make a watercolor painting have texture, which is, you know, another interesting factor for watercolorists who are
Yeah.
looking for inventive ways to work. And we can see, you know, how beautiful that's holding the water of the acrylic on there.
How fun. Are you guys having fun? We have fun every day. We learn something new every day.
Well, that's the best part about this. I think acrylics are such a modern medium, and I think they can work hand in hand with a lot of our other existing paints out there. So why not use them to their best benefit?
So Cindy Beaumont is asking, you can do this with oils, right?
You can do this with oils, she said.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. So your acrylics can always be underneath your oils. They can never be on top of your oils. So that's the one family of paints that has a few rules. So acrylics underneath, always. Oils always have to be on top.
So you cannot put acrylics on top of an oil primed canvas,
Exactly.
but you can put oil on top of an acrylic primed canvas.
Absolutely. And traditionally, most of your oil painters are using an acrylic prime canvas to begin with. So if you're using anything that you've bought from a store, that typically has an acrylic primer in it.
Okay, so Nancy Adams is asking us to tell us again the products. The one was called a
Yeah, so we
extra
have
gel.
so the first one that I used was called Fine Pumice Gel. So this is the one that's a little bit more velvety, a little bit more smooth. This one is the one that I originally started off with. And then right now we are using a molding paste.
Molding paste.
You bet.
All right.
A little label for that. Molding paste.
Wow, you're prepared.
I try to be. I know that, it's one of those things with acrylics, it's really overwhelming when you walk into a store, and I'm sure you experience this as well, Eric. There's so many options, and it's really quite overwhelming for an artist to pick one.
Well, I went into a store last night. So I have this, I bought this giant canvas at a thrift store that had a painting on it. But it was only $15. And I thought that's cheaper than spending $100 for a canvas. So I took the painting, and it had this, it must have been painted with gel like this. It had a lot of thickness, and I scraped as much off as I could, and then I sanded a bunch off, but still I couldn't get rid of the texture. And I cut a hole in my canvas by mistake. So I went out to the store last night, and I bought something along the lines of one of these products. I'm not sure which one I bought. And I decided to texture the whole front of the canvas rather than fight the texture that was there. I textured the whole canvas, and then I'm going to paint over it.
Okay. Yeah, and that's a great way to work too. And that's the interesting thing that we have with acrylics that's quite different than your oils, is that realistically, if I did this painting and say, I'm, especially when you're doing plein air, so I paint plein air for my acrylics, and you do a painting and you're like, oh, that didn't work out, I wasn't happy with that. You can paint over and over and over. There really is no limit with your acrylic texture, so you can go pretty intensive with the amount of product that you're using. And I think that's kind of the interesting thing here. So this is a very mild, in my world, effect to have that sort of underlying product. But what if we added a lot more paste? So this is the same product. This is molding paste mixed into my paints. And we can see here we have a lot more volume and a lot more texture. So it's interesting to see the difference when we mix the texture in to our acrylics or we paint on top of it. Again, there's a lot of versatility to your acrylics.
So I'm a little bit confused. So the confusion would be, one is molding paste, one is pumice gel.
Mm-hmm.
Is one typically thicker than the other?
Yeah, so great question. So with products that have the word gel in them, so we have one rule to always follow. Anything that says gel, that product typically dries clear. Anything that says paste, that product typically dries opaque or white. The bigger problem is that all of them have different viscosities or thicknesses. So we have a ton of different options for that. So one isn't necessarily thicker than the other. They're actually just all different.
So in the case of the paste, I can still mix it into my paint. So it's not going to matter if it dries white or not.
No, but what you'll end up with, and I'll do my next little demo here, I'll mix it in just to show you that a lot of our colors will have shifted. So instead of them being more transparent, my colors will actually be more opaque. So if I was looking to do glazing, I'm going to struggle with dealing with molding paste straight out of the tub, because then you're going to end up with really opaque colors. So this is my molding paste. It's incredibly opaque. And this product actually has marble dust in it.
Ooh.
So the marble dust gives me a little bit more volume. It gives me a little bit of a softer shine. So I'm not getting that acrylic film, which again, a lot of us don't love, that super shiny acrylic. But we're going to get opaque colors. So I have a really dark blue here, and I'm going to mix it in with my molding paste. And this is the color that I get. When this dries, this is the color. So you can see how opaque that is. So there's a lot of white in there. So for me to get super dark tonally, I have to add a lot more paint. And even then, this is still an opaque color. So not a bad thing, but different.
Yeah, not a transparent color.
Exactly.
Well, I use some acrylic gouache, and what I like about acrylic gouache is it naturally dries matte.
Mm-hmm.
Looks more like oil paint than gets shiny.
Yeah. And that's one of the biggest factors for your artists not liking acrylics is typically that shine. So with our traditional acrylics, we end up having a high shine finish. So I'll show you an example. I have one piece that's done with a product called Soft Gel Gloss. So this is a very traditional acrylic. And this is super, super shiny. We can even see the shine in here. And
Yeah.
this is what acrylics are sort of seen as having, that really high shine.
Yeah, which is a benefit sometimes.
Absolutely. It's very unique. It's got a very unique finish. And, you see in the art gallery world, we have a lot of resin paintings. We have a lot of paintings that really, really capitalize on that high shine. But if you're an artist who's typically used to oils, which have more of like that satin finish, or like yourself doing gouache, then you're going to want to sort of capitalize on the acrylics that can mimic that. And again, molding paste is sort of like a satiny finish. I would say this one is probably, ideal for your oil painters in terms of shine level. But we can even see here the difference between this opacity versus the one I started off with. This is so much more opaque. And you can see the volume there. Interesting thing about the molding paste as well is that we actually lose a lot less volume. So we will keep about 60% of the volume rather than losing the 50%. We'll be able to keep 60% of the volume with the molding paste. We can see all of those beautiful textures you can make. And again, no worries about using palette knife versus brush, but again, just don't use your beautiful fancy brushes because these products have that, stone base to them. So because they've got calcium carbonate in them and all of that stuff, your brushes will get beat up really quickly. And if you're a watercolorist, please don't take your watercolor brushes to these paints. They will eat them alive, sadly.
Yeah, soft brushes. So Marianne in the comments said she's a complete beginner. She's attending Acrylic Live coming up next week. And she doesn't want to go overboard on buying a bunch of stuff before she knows how to use it. I recommended she just go out and get, a cad red, an ultramarine blue, a cad yellow, and some white. She can mix all colors with that. What would your recommendation be?
So I'm a very modern painter, so I go a little bit more on the semi-abstraction side. So my recommendations for colors are actually more your modern colors, so they have a little bit more transparency to them. So colors like a manganese blue hue, something like a nickel azo yellow, and then a quinacridone magenta will really make a large gamut of colors for you to start off with. And then I would say you're going to want some sort of gel medium. So even something like soft gel gloss or soft gel matte. And that is just for extension purposes. So that just makes more paint. So that would be your cost saving side. And then of course your colors. So you'd have your basic needs there. And then of course a titanium white.
All right, cool. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, well, we're going to take a break here in a minute, and then we're going to get back to you, but I'll let you finish what you're working on here.
Sounds good. Yeah, I'm just adding in some bright yellow, and you can see, floating it on top of the red, you can see how opaque it is. It really is an opaque version of that gel texture. And of course, what we see is what we get. So when this dries, it remains the same. When I do the gel, we're going to see that the gels switch colors a little bit on us. So they're a little bit more frustrating for those painters who are used to certain colors. They do tend
Well,
to,
here's a comment from
transition.
𝗪𝗺 Clark, who says, I wonder though, if she's a beginner, whether she'll get frustrated trying to mix her own colors. My suggestion is to get smaller tubes, maybe 6 colors, and then you can buy them in sets. That's a pretty good idea, 𝗪𝗺. Thank you for that.
Yeah, absolutely. I do color wheels often too. I cannot recommend color wheels enough for any artist, whatever level. Making sure that you're doing a color wheel with the palette that you have in front of you, just so you understand how they're mixing, how they look. Every single class I teach, it's how we start off with. It's a nice color wheel.
So just for people who don't know, we're going to pull up a color wheel right now so you know what a color wheel is. And you can buy these in the store. We oftentimes have little stickers that we give out at some of our events that have color wheels on them that you can stick on your easels, but they're warm colors and cool colors. And so basically all those colors come from 3 colors: blue, red, and yellow. All right, great. Thank you for that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, we're having fun. Oh, okay.
This is the interesting thing about your acrylics as well. I mean, you can do this with oils as well, let's be honest, but I think it's a very modern practice to start pulling colors from underneath, playing with that level of paint layering. And of course, the red base is a group of 7 technique. So the group of 7 plein air painters would use sort of like a red or an orange underneath their landscapes to really make them pop. So having that little bit of color underneath really makes a painting glow here.
Yeah. Well, you are a Canadian. You would love the group of 7.
Yeah, plein air painter too. So there you go.
Well, we love that.
Yeah, it's nice and bright and vibrant, and you know the landscapes are easy to sort of play around with your colors too. You know, as a semi-abstract painter, I really like more you know, paintings that sort of reference more that emotional take, so it doesn't have to be true to life color, can really play with the colors that we have access to. And I think as acrylic painters, we have such unique colors and unique products, you might as well have some fun with it.
Oh, absolutely. This is why I'm looking forward to Acrylic Live. It's going to be a lot of fun. And what's interesting is that everybody's got a different technique, and everybody tries it much different ways of approaching it.
Yeah, and I think acrylics are very versatile. So I think even if you're an oil painter, you know, you're going to get something interesting that you can even use in an acrylic underneath your paints, or a watercolorist or pastel artist. I think, you know, these are the basis for so many of products that are out in the art industry. Plus acrylics are just leading the way in you know, the new medium today. So
yeah. Hey, tell us where you're watching from, everybody. Just get in there, and I forgot to do that today. So you need to tell us where you're watching from. We have a lot of the same people who tune in every single day. Welcome. If you're brand new to us, we're here every weekday and have been for almost 5 years since COVID began. And we'll have a big 5-year celebration coming up too. And we're here every weekday at 12 noon. So we think anybody can learn to paint, and we're trying to show you how.
And all the different fun stuff that you can use to paint with.
Oh, yeah.
So again, you can see, you know, very limited texture with palette knife here. What I really want to showcase on this one is how thick we can go. So this is a pretty, you know, red, yellow, blue, kind of boring landscape, nothing too crazy. But I want to showcase a little bit of extra heavy texture here. And this is the fun part, because acrylics have no rules. Also very daunting part, I would assume.
Yeah, well, we love no rules. We hate rules. Rules are made to be broken.
Exactly, exactly. So I'm going to pull some of my molding paste here. And again, like I said, there's no thickness that is wrong. So with our acrylics, you know, this is also a trend that you're seeing on social media. A lot of artists are doing really thick bodied paintings. And realistically, your acrylics can do this so easily. You don't need any sort of specialty paint. They work beautifully on their own. And we can do such gorgeous thick textures with our acrylics. And this will dry completely flat, of course, and we'll have a nice matte finish. And we'll have that underlying texture, and it's all stable, all archival. So nothing you need to worry about. And you get these beautiful textures in here.
I'm going to the store. I'm going to buy all this stuff. This awesome.
Yeah, and it's fun, you know, and I think that's one of the things that, you know, we have to remember as artists. One of our biggest challenges is just to have some fun. As adult learners, we're so concerned with the, you know, final impact of the piece, and I get that, but you know, let's remember to have some fun along the way.
Yeah. Fun is not allowed. No one is allowed to have fun.
Oh, I don't know. At Plein Air Convention, Eric, you seem to have a lot of fun. I was there in Denver. It was a lot of fun.
Well, it's going to be even more fun this year. I know that's hard to believe, but we have some pretty cool things planned. For instance, one day we're going to be painting in Virginia City, which is an old Western town that was on Bonanza, and it's an old gold mining town. So we're all dressing up in our cowboy gear, cowgirl gear, and we're going to be painting there in our cowgirl gear. We're having a gangster themed party because it's Reno. And so we're going to have a gangster themed closing party. Everybody's going to dress up like gangsters. So it'll be fun. And we're just all kinds of fun things. Got to have fun.
Oh, exactly. And I think art events like that are such a crucial, way to connect with other artists, to learn different techniques, but, again, to create that experience as an artist, to have some fun with your colleagues and your peers in the industry.
Yeah. And you're on the west coast of Canada, are you not?
I sure am. You bet.
So, Tahoe isn't that big of a drive for you.
You know what? I will be there. I'm going to be demonstrating there myself. So there you go.
We're excited. So you're going to be there and you're going to be on Acrylic Live. This is exciting.
I am. Yeah, you bet. I'm going to be talking about plein air painting with acrylics, because that is actually what I do and what I teach. So be a lot of fun.
That'll be fun. All right. Well, bring your friends.
So again, you can see the layers. None of this is dry. So I always like to point this out when you're dealing with acrylics. I know there's such a apprehension with the drying time, but we have a lot of working time. Whether you're a plein air artist, whether you're a studio artist, you're still dealing with quite a bit of maneuverability of your acrylic paints. And I'm still able to work with everything in here. So having that ability to play with the paint, really maneuver it, and it really won't be dry for a good couple of hours while I'm working. So it is actually quite a versatile paint. So don't be too worried about the drying time. It's still very workable. And I know that we got lots of texture on here, but we can really play with that, and you can see just how much that works with the paint here.
Hey, Samantha,
Yeah.
I'm going to take a quick break, and then we're going to be right back. All right.
Sounds fabulous.
All right. Our guest today is Samantha Williams-Chapelsky. I may have got that right. I may have got it wrong. We're talking about texture today. Reminder that we're here every weekday at 12 noon. If you're new to us, welcome. We love you guys. We have taught literally millions of people how to paint. This is so exciting. We're up over 17.5 million views now. And it is so exciting to see people coming together. Now everybody's coming together. We get to know each other on this show. And then they're coming to things like Acrylic Live or the Plein Air Convention or some of the other things that we do, some of my retreats. And we're just having a ball getting to know each other and finding that we all have the same things in common, right? Like we don't, when we're sitting around at Thanksgiving with our family and we mention cadmium red, they're like, what? No. But when we're at the Plein Air Convention, we're like, wow, this is so cool. We love to talk about this stuff, and you make a lot of friends. Let's play that Plein Air Convention promo real quickly right now.
Every artist deserves a chance to discover what they're truly capable of. This is yours. Join the world's top painters for 5 days of immersive learning, creativity, and connection in the most picturesque regions of Lake Tahoe and Reno.
I enjoy the scenery, I enjoy the locations, and I enjoy meeting people.
With hands-on coaching, 5 stages, plus daily painting sessions and a community of passionate creators, you'll grow your skills like never before.
It's a wonderful experience. I mean, it's a wealth of information. I got personal instruction from 𝗪𝗶𝗹𝗶𝗺. Do you believe that? I'm so excited.
It's just awesome to hear other people talk about painting.
At PACE, you're not just learning, you're connecting. Build lifelong friendships with like-minded artists who share your passion. This is where ideas spark, creativity flourishes, and your next breakthrough begins.
I would say just go for it.
as long as I'm living and able, I will come to these. Just sign up and go.
Don't wait. Seats are limited. Join us at the Plein Air Convention and Expo in Lake Tahoe and Reno. Secure your spot now.
You know that part about secure your spot now? There are, I just looked at the statistics yesterday. They may have changed, but there are 158 seats left. That's not very many. And that means that this thing's going to be a massive sellout. Everybody's going to come. It's popular because it's Lake Tahoe. We've never done Lake Tahoe before. And it's going to be spectacular. We've got Scott Christensen coming in and 𝗪𝗶𝗹𝗶𝗺, the world's greatest watercolor artist, and so many others. We've got 5 stages, a big giant expo hall. We've got art auctions. We got all kinds of things going on. It's going to be a lot of fun. And we make lots of friends. We go painting together after our instruction each day. So come join us. We would love to have you. And somebody told me something the other day I just want to address. She said, I don't think I'm going to come. And I said, why? She said, I'm not good enough. I said, what do you mean you're not good enough? She says, well, I'm embarrassed to paint in front of other people. And I said, look, we have all been there. Every artist that is in attendance has been there. And a lot of them are brand new painters. We have a basics course we recommend for beginners that starts the morning of the convention. It's an optional thing. And just come. You don't have to paint in front of other people if you don't want to, but you're going to miss out on a lot of really wonderful experiences. We're all very welcoming. We don't judge you. We don't judge anybody because we've all been there. And so you're among friends. You're among people who have gone through this, and that will make a huge difference. And you're going to walk away from there making a lot of friends, lifelong friends, having a great time, and something to look forward to every year, because we think it's kind of like our artist Thanksgiving, our plein air Thanksgiving, because we get together with the family we love, the family we want to be with, who can understand that we all like colors and crazy paintings. And so, you know, it's like, this is where your family is, your plein air family. And we'd love for you to join us. I'll be there. I'll be hosting. I'll be bringing my actual family. So they all work at the conventions, family thing. My cousins are coming. They're going to work at the convention. We got a lot of people. We just all, it's one big happy family. We'd love to have you there. Okay, we're going to get back now to Samantha. All right, now what are you going to do now?
So I thought I'd show 2 more interesting products. If we have time, maybe one, but just to show you a little bit of variation, something that's a bit different. I'm going to be showcasing coarse molding paste.
Say that again.
Coarse molding paste.
Okay.
Now this one is unique. If we look closely at it, it's got a bit of a sandy texture, so we can hear that. And it has marble dust in it, but it's not as coarsely ground. So we have a little bit more residual texture showcasing through. And what I love about it, aside from that super scratchy sound, is it's really beautiful for keeping your colors pretty true to life. And it's got just this beautiful, beautiful finish. So this is definitely an acrylic product that's unique. This one I would recommend if you are an oil artist, only using it underneath. If you are a watercolorist, I'd probably say this one's a little harsh on your brushes because of its texture. But I'm just going to show you a finished piece with the coarse molding, and we can see that that finish is absolutely beautiful. It's got just such a beautiful sort of non-shiny finish. It is scratchy, but it's a really gorgeous finish.
Yes. Would you bring that to the convention and put it in the faculty show, because that's the
Yes, and you know what? It's really interesting because this is done on top of linen. I've got little bits of the linen showing through, but I just love the way this paste hosts or holds the acrylic itself. It's just absolutely phenomenal.
You know, we've never done a show on texture in the 5 years, so congratulations. This is a first.
Well, I'm glad. And you know what? Like your your acrylic live, I think it's really interesting to see the interest of acrylics today. I mean, they're so versatile, and there's so many different products that we have out there. And I think that's really interesting to see the demand.
I know you are an ambassador for Golden Artist Paints, and Golden is one of our sponsors at Acrylic Live. We're happy about that. And you should tell Mark Golden to come and hang out with us at the convention.
I should. He's
They usually
a
have a
lovely
few.
man.
He's a great guy.
Yeah, they have a phenomenal residency out there as well. So I always like to tell artists that if you're looking for a residency space, that's a great one. So you can definitely hear it. It's definitely got a little bit more of a sharper tooth to it. Now, if you are a pastel artist, I'm going to tell you, especially if you're a stick pastel artist, this product is absolutely phenomenal for you as a surface. It is a little harsher, but I've seen some absolutely gorgeous pastel paintings done on top of this.
Okay, so you would do it like you did before. You'd put a relief painting with this on it, and it's going to pick up the pastel because of the coarseness.
Exactly. So again, it's just that little bit of extra texture. And once this dries, it's a little bit more subtle than what we're hearing it right now, but it's just such a beautiful finish. This also, if you are struggling with the opacity of some of the molding paste, this one is a little bit more transparent. So we do have the ability to get true to life colors. You're seeing, you know, a lot of darks, which is nice for artists to be able to get their darks and their acrylics with a paste. Yeah. So we're going to mix up some green here because I've got my basic colors here today, but we'll add in a nice little bit of green. I don't think I finished one painting for you, Eric, but I hopefully showed a whole bunch of different stuff.
That's okay. It's more fun to see all the different techniques. Hello, India. Welcome. We get a lot of people who watch from India. We love it.
So this product too, kind of, you know, with that transparency level, this works really great if you are an artist who likes working with stencils as well. So if you like to incorporate any sort of the mixed media aspect of your work, so things like stencils, even different colored acrylic inks, this product works really well for all of those mixed media elements as well.
All right, because we're low on time, why don't you go ahead and show us the other product?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. That was fun.
Okay, so last one will be the craziest one of all, and it is light molding paste. So
Say that again.
Light molding paste.
Light, L-I-G-H-T?
You bet. And it's basically the cake icing of the paste. So it is thick. It is very, very light in weight by its name. It's a very lightweight product. And it's actually made with hollow ceramic spheres.
Hollow ceramic what?
Spheres. So that's how it's made.
Spheres.
Yeah, you bet. It's an interesting product. So if you're interested in the science of this, it's very unique. This one is basically one of my favorite products. I use this the most myself. What I love about it is it's lightweight. So when we add a lot of texture, obviously our paintings can get quite heavy. Yeah. So how do we mitigate that? Well, we add something that's a little bit lighter in weight to them, and that would be your light molding paste. Because
you could paint a birthday cake and make it look like icing.
And you know what? That is an artist. There's an artist who does that. So they actually make cakes out of this product. Because it resembles basically icing, and you know, a lot of artists will use icing tubes with it, and it's a beautiful product. It's really lovely to work with, and I think it's got so much versatility. And again, here we do not have minimums versus maximums, so you can add as much product as you want. I go through about 3 liters per painting in my own work.
Oh, so you buy big jars.
Yes, I buy the big tubs.
Fun.
And that's cost savings as well. Usually the bigger the scale, the cheaper the product is. And all of these products have been tested to last on your shelves for as many years as you can possibly have them.
Now, how do they, if you're painting on a canvas, a stretched canvas instead of a board, do you have any different issues?
Yeah, you can. So, especially where I'm from a climate which obviously has some cold to it. So, if you are working this thick on a canvas support, we do have some issues with transportation and cracking. So, we can get some cracking if this is in a colder environment. So, I would suggest that if you are working this thick or this textured, you switch to something like a birch or a panel support, just something that has that base to it.
Yeah. Okay. Well, this has been wonderful. Thank you so much.
No, I'm super happy to have showcased so many different things and different products. And I hope everyone just has some fun with acrylics.
Well, I want you to come back on camera so everybody can meet you, because they didn't see you in the beginning if they came late.
Sure,
And
absolutely.
you have such movie star qualities about you. They need to meet you in person.
Sure, absolutely. Let me switch my camera around.
All right. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed that. Here's Samantha. She's back, and there she is. Well, you can
I'm
see
back.
you're working on some really big pieces back there.
Yes, absolutely. So I work about 12 feet wide, so I have some large school paintings.
And are you painting those on panels or on canvases?
Typically panels actually for myself, and then I do use brooms as my tool. So I use like push brooms and actual sweeping brooms as my paintbrushes.
Really?
I
Do you
do,
have
yes.
one handy you can show us?
Let me see here. I do not think so, but I'll show you this one. This is one of my smaller brushes.
Wow.
Yes.
And it's hard to keep those things clean.
Yes, it is. So, I mean, Home Depot is my friend. I usually go through a couple of brushes of painting. They'll last me a few paintings, and then I'll have to buy new ones.
Oh, outstanding. So what do you
Yeah.
use instead of a palette knife?
So I use trowels. So your bricklaying trowels, those are phenomenal.
Outstanding. Well, thank you. This has been such a pleasure. We appreciate you doing this today.
No, thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
We have put all your contact information into the chat, so anybody wants to find you, and they can find you on Acrylic Live, and they can find you at the plein air convention. So you guys come, you can meet Samantha and watch her do this stuff in person. That'd be terrific.
Yeah, absolutely. Looking forward to it.
All right. Thanks, Samantha.
Thank you.
Speaking of Acrylic Live, real quickly, you got to watch this quick little promo about Acrylic Live. So Acrylic next week, and I'll be there hosting it next week. We have on Tuesday, we have Essentials Day. Then Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, we have the rest of Acrylic Live. You can attend one or all. Just go to acryliclive.com and you can watch just like this, watch from home, except we're not on YouTube. We have our own platform and you'll be able to see it, and you'll be able to communicate with other people, get to know other artists. We got a lot of artists who are going to be teaching, and I'm going to have a co-host with Charlie Easton and also Kelly Kane from Plein Air Magazine. So make sure you join us. It's going to be life-changing. It's our first time doing an acrylic event, and it's turning out to be one of our biggest ever. So we love that when you guys support this kind of thing. It's really terrific. And we love people like Samantha who come in and teach every day, and we hope that if you're new here, you'll come back and join us again. Remember, if you are not a painter, you can do this. I'm not fooling. You can do this. We have hundreds and hundreds of shows that we've done 5 years since COVID. And anything you can imagine, whether it's textures like today or watercolor or portraits or figures or landscapes and different mediums, it's all there, and you can learn it. Watch any 5 programs that interest you and they will teach you to paint, and you'll get the confidence you need. You can learn to paint here. And then we have other things we can extend you to, like we have PaintTube TV, which has hundreds, I think 600 or 700 art instruction video courses professionally produced that are really in-depth, lots of high quality, big close-ups. That's at painttube.tv/ASL. Well, thank you guys for tuning in today. Make sure you subscribe to this program. Just go to YouTube, hit the subscribe button when you find Art School Live. And also we have a free gift for you. If you go and get this free gift, it's going to change you. It's a 2-hour video. You can get it for streaming, so you can watch on your phone, your computer, your tablet, or if you want DVD, you can pay the shipping, but it's free for you. It's 97 Incredible Art Secrets. Just go to 97artsecrets.com/ASL for Art School Live. If you have not said something in the comments, make sure that you go into the comments and say hello. We love it to have you be there. And if you liked Samantha's, make sure you give it a thumbs up or heart. Actually, this helps, right? It's because YouTube sees it and they go, oh, a lot of people like it. We'll show it to more people, right? That's why we do it. We also like to give accolades to our great artists who attend. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Samantha. And I am so glad to be back. It's nice to have be refreshed and rested and back at it. So I'll see you again tomorrow on Art School Live. Bye-bye.